Okay, perfect. So again, thank you so much for tuning in today. I know it's a busy season and it's go moving more into spring. At least it's warm here today in Ohio. 60 is warm for us this time of year. So if you're in Atlanta or in Texas, I know you're used to warmer weather, but 60 to us right now is pretty warm. So it's spring. It's the market's starting to pick up. We're seeing more new listings come through our plate. More agents, being more active, and so I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to spend time with me today. Um, Actually, give me one second. I think I'm on the wrong slide. So, what I want to know also is, and I'm going to recap kind of what we've gone over so far, but I want to know, let me know if this is helping. Type in the chat box if this webinar series has helped you along the way. When we've gone over these key pieces so far, and I'm going to recap them right now, but I want to know if this is helping. Just type in the chat box yes or no, and also let me know what questions you have. Again, this is your time to get as much out of this hour as you can. So feel free to ask me any and everything. All right, so let's recap a little bit of what we've talked about so far. So in week 1, we talked about setting your goals, getting to the basics of this strategy we're covering. We also talked about creating that recognizable brand that is so important in any company, any industry, and a key piece to growing and starting a business. And we started your marketing outline, right? Do you remember doing that, kind of figuring out what you want to do, where you want to go when it comes to marketing yourself and your business online? We talked a lot about redefining and reconstructing your website to make sure it's going to be effective in your strategy. We also talked about choosing your social strategy. We talked a little bit briefly about each site so you can kind of figure out where you want to be and where you want to spend your time and where you want to try to use, what sites you want to use to reach your customers. So in this 4-part series, part 1 and part 2, we've gone over that. Today, I want to talk to you about using your business to get more business. And this might seem, very well, obviously we want to get referrals, we want to get all of these different things, but I'm going to teach you a little bit differently than and kind of open your eyes to something you might not have thought of before, or maybe it's back to basics for you and we just need to re-energize and restart something to get more business from your current business. So, recapping again, just trying to get you into this mode and into the mindset of what we're going over here. I'm going to recap a little bit more. So, before committing to anything, does it help you reach your sphere or generate new leads? Ask yourself this every time you think about, signing up for a product or changing the way you do something or adding anything to your strategy. Does it reach your sphere or is it going to help you generate new leads? If the answer is no, take a step back and figure out if that's something you need to spend time on. You might want to, but is it something you actually need to be doing, right? All right, we also talked about branding. So it could be a color, it could be a font, it could be a logo, a slogan, or even just a picture. Whatever that looks like to you, who are you? You need to create that brand. And then that brand needs to be consistent everywhere, right? Also, we talked about how your website should be your hub, be the center and the focal point of where you start your marketing strategy. It needs to generate leads. If you're not even getting one lead off of your website ever, then there's a problem. So why doesn't it is the question you need to ask yourself. It has to have a built-in blog. That is a non-negotiable. That is such a key part of what is working right now and in any industry that helps with so many different things. So a built-in blog is a must. It needs to offer value. Again, you can do that with your blog, or you can offer an item of value on your site. And it also needs to represent you. So again, with that brand, you need to make sure that's spit across everywhere, including your website. And I want to know, does yours do that? So if it doesn't, kind of rethink what you need to do to make it work for, your business. Then we talked about your online blast. We talked about now that you have your brand, your website, how can we blast you out to every channel we possibly can that makes sense for your strategy, right? It needs to make sense. We don't just want to pick up that shiny object and do something. It needs to make sense for your strategy. So how can we blast you and get you more online exposure, more web traffic? And that's where social media comes in. So, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, YouTube, Google Plus, Active Rain, and blogging, and there's a ton of other ones, Instagram, other ones that you can, put into this mix. But where do you want to be? What makes sense for your strategy, for your business, for what you want to accomplish? And that's where we kind of left off. We want to potentially reach obviously our sphere and new leads, and we can even reach our sphere, through Facebook, through all of these different channels. So that is a huge part of why social media is so important. So we've gone over a lot. That was a lot. I think I just crammed that into one breath. But that was a lot that we've gone over already. But we're going to keep moving forward. And today I want to focus on your listings. Using your business to get more business. How can we do that? So let's start with your listings. So far, I've got you so far? Am I blowing your brain a little bit already? If you've tuned in for the first time, if you didn't make the first and second session, we have these recorded. And before I kind of dive into this listing marketing piece, I want to remind you guys that we are working on getting that recording. And my email I sent out earlier today, we're having some technical difficulties with it. Actually, our developer is going to help us and see if he can't convert it so it will upload for us. But it's saved, but it won't let me upload it to YouTube. So I'm trying to get that over to you. So after today, I'll have, session 2 and 3 recorded, and I'll send that out to you as soon as I have it fixed and uploaded. So that's coming, I promise. Okay, so today I really want to talk about your listings. And when it comes to your listings, what does that really mean, for your business? So whether you have one listing or 21 listings, it doesn't matter. You need to have a plan, right? And I want to make sure everybody knows this stat. And I think this number is actually a little low. I think it's 90%, but we're going to stick with 89 because I know for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's up above this now, but over 89% of home buyers start their search online before calling an agent. So I keep telling you, it's really important to be online. It's important to do this, that, and that. But, in the end, you need to figure out, what's working for you. So, you need to be online. You need to have that presence, and it all just fits into what's working for you and your strategy. So again, being online is important to not only just keep in touch with your sphere, but potentially reach a ton of new business if you can do it right. So 89% of home buyers start their search online before calling an agent. Feel free to use that stat in your marketing plan and your listing presentations, whatever you want to do for the next pieces I'm about to show you. I want to know, what are you doing now to market your listings? So what are you doing now? Do you have a checklist? What is on that checklist? What are you doing right now to get your listings online? And do you have a system or maybe a new listing checklist? Once you get that paperwork signed by the seller, what are your next steps? You put it in the MLS, and then what do you do after that? What is your system? And even, do you have a system? What is the answer to that question? Do you use your marketing to get more business? And I'm going to show you how to do this, but I want you to think, do you currently do this? Do you use your marketing, the way you market your listings and what you do to get your listings sold? Do you use that to get more business? Also, at all of that, all of your answers to those questions, is it effective? Are you getting more business? Is your marketing reaching a ton of people? Is your marketing reaching buyers and you're getting leads from that? Or, do you sit your marketing plan in front of a seller and that's why they list with you? Is it effective? What are you doing now, and is it effective? Also, everybody has room for improvement, right? I mean, in-house, we're constantly, actually, we have a board in our office. I'm staring at it right now that says, wouldn't it be great if dot, dot, dot? And we're constantly thinking of what other things we can do to make whatever it is we're doing better. So this is where I'm going to put it back on you. You know, what are you missing? What can you do better? What are you missing from what you're currently doing? Okay, so write these down, mentally think about it. I encourage you to write it down so you can come back to it later. But think about all these things I'm talking about right now. The last thing I want to mention on this slide is, do you have time or do you even want to do this yourself? Because that's also a question too. I mean, we talk to a lot of agents where we do these webinars or we talk to them in person, or they're maybe interested in getting some kind of help or guidance with their marketing strategy. And, some of them want to do it themselves and they just need to know how. Or some of them don't want to do it themselves and they just want somebody to just take care of it for them. So where are you on that scale? Do you want to do it yourself? You just need to know how? Or do you not want to do it yourself? You don't care to know how. You just want to know it's effective, it's going to work, and that you don't have to touch it. So where do you fall? Either way, you do need to complete, what's on this list, but then determine if you're going to do it, if somebody else is going to do it. That's a key part in this too. So I have some homework for you. Every session so far, we've had a little bit of homework, but I have some more. I want you to kind of think about, and this homework you can do right now. You don't have to, print out anything or do anything. You can do this right now. So I want to know what social sites you decided to focus on. And this can change, once you get there. If you want to add anything or change what you do, you can definitely do that. But I want to know, what social sites did you choose after our session last week, and just kind of jot down or revisit what you wrote down from last week. And I want to know, how do you want to showcase your listing? So when I ask this question, some agents say, I really want to showcase that we have a professional photographer and their pictures are awesome. I want to showcase that online. And then I would say, great, let's do A, B, and C, right? Or maybe some agents take video. We have an agent who actually takes a physical video of all of his listings. So, how can we use that and showcase that to market not only the listing, but showcase you and how you market your listings, right? I mean, it's kind of a two-way street in that sense. So how do you want to showcase your listing? So is it with video? Is it with pictures? Is it how it's presented? Is it the kind of branding you use? Is it, adding a filter to it and making it look a little whatever? Whatever that looks like to you, how do you want to showcase your listings? Also, how do your listings fit into your website? Do you have a page on your website where you showcase your listings? If you do, great. And how does that look? And does that fit with your brand? Is that how you want to showcase your listings? If you don't showcase your listings on your website, you're missing a huge opportunity. And I encourage you to add that page after this webinar. But how does that fit into your website and your marketing strategy? How do your listings fit into your social marketing plan? So how are you spitting out your website or your listings onto social media? Are they going to Pinterest? Are you marketing, you're creating a video? Is it going to YouTube? What do you do after that? How does it fit into your social plan? And how are you using social sites to expand your online exposure for your listings? And does your plan represent your brand? If it doesn't, maybe figure out what's missing, right? That's always the question. Is there anything missing? Yes or no, and then move on to the next, right? So, does your plan represent your brand? If it's missing, then how can you incorporate that and make all these dots kind of connect when it comes to your strategy and marketing your listings? Does that make sense? Let me go back to the slide one more time. I'm hoping that this makes sense to you guys and that this isn't too overwhelming, because this will come together. Like I said, we kind of reach out and then we bring it back in because it's just really fits and connects the dots if we kind of take it this route. So let me know if you have any questions or if you need me to slow down or anything. Okay. So I'm going to give you my listing presentation. And I've given this in a few different ways over various webinars and presentations that we've done, but I'm going to give it to you right now. And I want you to sit there and listen, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, right? I want you to sit there and listen, and I want you to pick up anything that helps, pick up anything that you want to add. You can steal this listing presentation if you want to. I'm only going to go over a piece of what you would present, but I'm going to give it to you right now. Ready? All right. You know what, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? I know we've gone through the house. I've seen what you've done to it. You've showed me the updates that you've made, and I have the comparables right here to show you. But you know what? I'm going to push these aside for a second, and we're going to go to these numbers in a second. What I think your home should sell for, what other homes are selling for in the area, and what you might net. Let's push that aside for a second, because what I really want to focus on is, why you are going to hire me, because there's a ton of agents out there. You might be interviewing a couple of them, after me, or you've interviewed them already. But what I want to do is kind of go over what I feel like I can do for you. So when you hire me, included in my commission, or however you work that, but included in my commission, I'm going to bring in a professional stager, because it's not only about pricing the home, it's about how it's presented to a potential buyer. So we've got to get your home ready. The way you live in your home and the way you sell your home are completely different. So I'm going to bring in a professional, no cost to you, and I'm going to bring them in, and I'm going to have them help you stage your home and get it ready for today's market. Okay, so that's the first thing I'm going to do. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a professional photographer, and I'm going to have them make your home look amazing in the pictures, and I'm going to share that with on the MLS, and that's how I'm going to present your home. Because before even somebody's going to call me, or even if they drive by, we need to present it to the buyers as a product. I mean, it's essentially a product. So how can we get your home ready to sell and present it in that way where it's irresistible and they need to see it and they want to see it? How can I'm going to make your home look amazing to potential buyers from a professional photographer and a home stager. So that's what I'm going to do for you. And it's a price war and a beauty contest. So I'm going to be fighting for you to get your home the most exposure possible to as many buyers as I possibly can. And that's what I promise you, is that I'm going to be an advocate for your listing and for your home, because I understand, time is money, and you don't want to, waste your time listing a home with me if what I'm going to do isn't effective. So that's what I promise you. And you know what? 89% of buyers start their search online. So that's going to be a huge part of what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to, make sure that your home looks amazing and get that in front of as many buyers as possible. And that is a huge part of that is online. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take your home, stage it, photograph it, get it in the MLS, and I'm not going to stop there. I'm actually going to send it to all of these different sites. So I promise you that your home will consistently be online everywhere possible. And you know what the icing on the cake is for this is that I don't even do this. I actually hire a company to do this for me, so that it's being done constantly, consistently, and with open houses, any price changes we do, any picture updates, it will be taken care of everywhere. So that 89% of home buyers, we're going to try to reach as many of them as we possibly can. So a company, will do this for me, and that will free up my time to, focus on you and potential buyers. And that way I am yours and I'm focusing on you, and everything else will just fall into place. So that is what I promise you. This is how I am different from any other agent that you're going to meet today. All right, how did I do? And I know that was just a small piece of any listing presentation. Obviously, comparables and your rapport with them, and if you have a connection with them, and if you want to list their house. I know there's some agents out there who kind of pick and choose what listings they take, but how did I do? Let me know, if you would hire me, if you like how that was presented. Anything that you would add, pop it in there too. We can share it with everybody, whatever you would change or add to that presentation. But That's awesome, right? I mean, if you're promising me, staging and photographs and online marketing consistently, I mean, why would they not choose you, right? I mean, why would they not go with you? And I can promise you that even the agents, I know a lot of agents who do exactly what I just showed you, but there are some agents out there who don't. So if you're not doing something that makes you stand out and that's different, I mean, that in and of itself can help you stand out in a listing presentation. Do you agree? All right, so I got some comments. Let me take a look at this really quick. Okay, cool. We have a lot of people saying thank you for the example. Yeah, I mean, I think it helps to kind of, look at something from a different perspective. Just even just to re-energize how you present something, that in and of itself can be very effective to how present your stuff. Even if you have a listing presentation later, steal what I just showed you and use it later. Okay, so how do you use your listings to get more listings? That's a question I want to kind of let float for a minute and you want you to think about. So how can you use, well, we just did a listing presentation. Let's say that seller listed with me. Now I'm going to market their listings as I just mentioned to you. So how am I going to use what I just did and the listings I'm marketing to get more business? I want you to try this for a second, and this will help you figure out how you're going to market your listings. I want you to take gorgeous pictures, and this is actually a non negotiable. I don't care if you use your iPhone or if you use whatever camera you use or if you hire a professional photographer. It doesn't matter. You can translate that listing presentation I just gave you. If you don't want to hire a photographer or a stager, then you can at least say, I'm going to help you stage your home. I'm going to take these gorgeous pictures. You don't have to hire somebody. You can do that yourself. But I want to make sure that you're doing it in the right way. If you're going to try to get somebody into a listing, whether it's a $600,000 listing or an $80,000 listing, it shouldn't matter. It should be presented properly online, right? We still get things that come across our plate where instead of showcasing the room itself, it'll just be a picture of, the bed instead of, the room that the bed is in. Or another one that's a little pet peeve of mine, and I don't know if you guys have a pet peeve of yours, but when you take a picture of a bathroom and the toilet seat is up, something so small can make a huge difference on how it's presented to a potential buyer. So it's all about the presentation. So gorgeous pictures are a must, and I'm going to make that a non-negotiable because of the marketing world that we're in, because of what works and what doesn't, and how we see that from the inside, how we see listings kind of fly off the shelves, are the agents who get, more listings than others, what's effective in that. And it's always an underlying factor is that the pictures are awesome. And I want you to make sure it's everywhere possible all the time. So when I say this, I'm not saying, every real estate website out there your listing should be on. Most of you on this webinar, and correct me if I'm wrong, but most of you, your listings are syndicated out to multiple sites one way or the other, whether your MLS does it or whether ListHub does it or whether you use Postlets or your company does it, but your listings are probably syndicated to multiple sites automatically, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, because if they're not, then I can show you how to do that. But that's an easy way to get your listing out to the top sites. So what I want you to focus on are the top sites. So when I say everywhere, I don't mean literally every real estate site, because that would take hours and hours and hours just to get it on the site on everywhere. But I want you to focus on the top sites like realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia, the top sites out there. Make sure your listing is there. Then also make sure that it's there all the time. So anytime a price changes, anytime there's an open house, anytime you change the pictures or the description, even just to check on it, on a monthly basis, whatever that looks like, you got to make sure it's consistently there. Even if your listings are syndicated, you still need to double check that, because not only do you need to make sure that it's there, but what if, a seller goes online, and we have this a couple times where a listing won't make it to a certain site, or and there, we get questions across the board all the time where it's, my listing didn't make it to Trulia. Why didn't it make it there? You need to make sure that it does. And, sellers are out there looking. If you tell them you're going to put it on all these sites, you need to make sure that it actually gets there, right? Because what if your seller goes onto Zillow and for some reason it's the wrong price, or the pictures are different, or whatever that looks like? So make sure that you're checking in on that. And I want you to use social media, whatever that means to you. So last week, we kind of talked about what sites you want to be on, right? What sites are effective, how they're effective, what the stats are for everything, how many people are using all the sites. So what social media sites did you choose to be in your strategy? And that's where, your listings should be. Not only to get your listings out there on social sites, but to showcase your business a little bit. I mean, maybe not if you list, a home every day, or maybe 3 homes a day, however busy you are. Just kind of scale it back or scale it up depending on what business you have at that time. So, whatever that looks like to you, you need to showcase that you're listing homes, but not only that, that you're selling homes. People want to know. People like to see testimonials. They like to see that you're busy. They like to see that you're selling homes. And I want you to tell your seller what you're going to do. Tell them and make sure you do it, but also tell at a listing presentation, tell them what you're going to do for them, why you're a benefit to them. Why do they need you right now over any other agent? What makes you different? Tell them what you're going to do. I also want you to keep a sold inventory. So any home that you sell from, if you've already done this, awesome, thumbs up to you. If you haven't done this yet, I want you to start doing it today. So any homes that you sell, I want you to keep a sold inventory somewhere, whether it's in your blog, if there's a tool that'll keep your sold inventory. From here on out, I want you to showcase all the listings you've sold everywhere. And might seem like, oh, well, duh, I need to keep my sold inventory somewhere, but I want you to put it online, and I want you to put it someplace that makes sense for you. So whether that be on Trulia or Zillow, where now they've started to let you showcase your sold listings. So if you're not doing that yet, absolutely make sure your sold listings are on those 2 sites. Or maybe it's, like I mentioned, on your website somewhere. Whatever that looks like to you, make sure you keep a sold inventory. That is also a non-negotiable that I won't let you not do. And one thing that agents don't do enough is they don't know their stats, which is kind of crazy to me, because when I was an agent, I always wanted to know my stats. I wanted to know, what our team's average days on market were, what our average list to sales price was. I wanted to know how effective our stuff was. You got to know what's happening and how good something is in order to know where you're going to be able to go. So, for example, in that listing presentation I just gave you, and sorry, my screen's moving around a little bit. I'm trying to pull a poll up for you. But while I do that, I want you to think about this, because if your average days on market is awesome, so let's say it's 29 days is your average days on market, and that's pretty good. That means that you're selling a home in less than 30 days. If that's your stat, present that. Tell them what you do. Tell your audience on social sites, at a listing presentation, whatever that means. Tell them how good your stats are. I want you to share that with everybody and anybody, because if you're lower than the average in your community, or the national average, whatever's better, share that with them, because you need to know your stats. And so I want to know if you even have a plan for your listing marketing. So we're backtracking a little bit, but I want to know the answer to this question before we move forward. So look at your screen, and I want you to tell me if you have a plan for your listing marketing. Yes or no. Go ahead and let me know what that looks like to you. All right, we have half of you voted. I'll wait a couple more seconds for you guys to finish voting, but let me know what you're doing now, and if you have a plan for that. Okay, so I'll go ahead and close the poll. So 80% of you say yes. So that you're already on the right track. For the 20% of you on the webinar today, make sure that's something that you do, today or this week or even this month. Before you get into the busy season, it's important to know to at least have a checklist of some sort to know what you need to do for your listings. So the last thing I want to touch base on is for you to try is to also get testimonials. And we're going to touch base on that the second half of this webinar, but I want you to get testimonials. And I almost want to make that a non-negotiable, but we'll talk about that in a second. Okay. Let me move that out of the way. Okay. So you're probably sitting there thinking, okay, that's great. I know I need to do all these things, but what do I do? Right now, what do I need to do? I know I need to have my checklist, but where do I need to be and what do I need to do? So let me give you a couple of, again, non-negotiables in examples. So a non-negotiable is you need to take gorgeous pictures. So if that means to, make sure you change the angle of how you're taking a picture, or maybe you edit them to sharpen them or change the contrast, whatever that looks like, but make sure your pictures are on point. So if that's what you're trying to do is showcase your pictures, where online does that make sense? So, Pinterest in and of itself is for images. So, if you're going to take gorgeous pictures, maybe Pinterest makes sense for you to post your listings to. And then, maybe you post your pictures to Facebook as well. And wherever else that makes sense for your marketing strategy, if you're taking gorgeous pictures, where else does that fit into marketing online? So again, I would, if it were me and I were taking these pictures, I would say I would post my pictures to Pinterest and I would post them to Facebook and wherever else that made sense for my strategy. So I'm hoping that makes sense a little bit. Let me give you a few more examples. So let's say you want to create videos, whether it be a virtual tour slideshow, or maybe it's an actual physical video of your listings. So let's say video is something in your checklist. So when it comes to video, where does that fit into any marketing strategy? Where can you showcase videos? Well, you can really showcase it anywhere. You can showcase it on your website, your Facebook, you can blog it, wherever. But I would say it has to go to YouTube, right? YouTube is the number 2 search engine. That is where you should have a channel of all the videos you have, whether it be just slideshows or actual videos of some sort. If you create a video for your listing, at least put it on YouTube. And then from there, do whatever else you want to do with it that fits into your marketing strategy. If you are using social media, if you need to get your listing on social media, what does that mean? And where do I put that? And how do I do that? And I'm just going to ask you, what sites did you choose? Because if you chose, last week, remember we did this, if you chose Facebook, Pinterest, and Google Plus, then that's where your listing needs to be. However that looks and however that fits into your strategy, that's where your listing needs to be. And what makes sense, or what makes you different, and what makes you stand out? And ask yourself this, because you need to be able to present that, right? When you're at a listing presentation, you need to present why they should choose you. And that's essentially what this question is asking. So you need to make sure it represents you, because you are the thing that's making it stand out, and your marketing plan. So whatever is in that plan, you need to pop that into your listing presentation and the way you market everything, because it's not just about getting listings, it's about selling listings. It's not just about getting and selling listings, it's also about using it to get more business. I mean, that is what today is about. So I'm hoping this is coming together for you and kind of opening your mind at how not your listing can do more than one thing. Having listings, marketing listings, selling listings can get you more business if you do it the right way. If you fit it into your marketing plan and properly do all the things I'm kind of touching base on, you can definitely make this come full circle. What if you want to use your listings to get more web traffic, which everybody wants more web traffic? I mean, I don't know if I've ever heard somebody who didn't want more web traffic. So maybe blog it. maybe post it to social media with the link back to your website. Maybe, post that video to YouTube, pop it in a blog, and now you're on YouTube and you can drive traffic to your website using that video. So there's so many different things that you can do. And I hope I just gave you a couple ideas there, but you can get more web traffic from your listings. And what if you want to use it to get more business? Who doesn't, right? Oh, there he goes. Maybe you send out a just sold postcard. I know agents who still do print marketing and it works like a charm, so don't rule that part out. It's the entire marketing strategy, not just online marketing. Maybe you send out a postcard for just sold or just listed. I know some people who market their sold business to get more business. So if that home sold in 4 days, you better be posting that online, right? Post it to Facebook or Pinterest or wherever that makes sense. If you sold a home in 4 days, you should definitely be showcasing that. You should showcase those stats in your presentation. So if your average days on market for your listings is short, share it. If your list to sales price is 98%, that's awesome. That means you're a good negotiator. Put that into your presentation. Hopefully, you guys are also getting some reviews. Like I said, we're going to touch base on that the second half of this webinar. But use your reviews. Use that people in the community that you're trying to list that home in or get more business in actually use you and like using you and like working with you and that you did a great job for them. Use your reviews to get more business. Do you guys have any questions? Is this making sense? Let me know what I can do to make this, easier for you to kind of help you connect those dots between your branding, your website, your social media, and your listings. Those are the 4 things we're kind of talking about right now. So when you ask me what sites should I be on or what sites should I put my listing on, I'm probably almost always going to just turn it around and ask you a question right back. So I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to ask you, how does it fit into your strategy? So, if you ask me what site should you be on, I could tell you a different reason why somebody should be on every site, but that's not what's going to help you. How does whatever that looks like fit into your strategy? Because if, Pinterest doesn't fit into your strategy, then maybe don't use it for your marketing purposes. Maybe YouTube isn't something that you want to do. You don't really want to do video. You want to focus on that. Whatever that looks like for you, that's where you need to start. Because this is the base, right? What we're going over in this webinar series is the base of your marketing strategy. Once you've got it down, you've got basically a machine running for you and just a plug and play system for everything. Then you can start to explore what you could be doing, what you could be doing differently or in addition to what you could do to kind of enhance what you're doing. And maybe that's where you add stuff later. But what I want you to focus on is your base. And that will make life way easier for you than trying to learn how to do everything right now. Set your base and then we'll add stuff later. But if you're going to ask me where you should be, I'm going to ask you how it fits. Does that make sense? Hopefully that helps. All right, so again, recapping on your homework, I want you to answer those things. What social sites did you choose? How does that fit into your marketing strategy for your listings? How do you want to showcase your listings? Is it with pictures? Is it with, well, it has to be, right? That's a non-negotiable. But video, is it with, however that looks like? How do you want to showcase your listings? How do your listings fit into your website? And are they even on and showcased on your website? How do your listings fit into your social plan? And does your plan represent your brand? All of those things need to fit together and need to be answered before you can finalize your checklist. And that's the next thing. I want you to put together a checklist. So it sounds like most of you have one, but I want you to edit it. There are things on there, I guarantee you, unless you just did it yesterday, that you can cross off or add to it, especially with the things that I've gone over today. I want you to put together that checklist and edit the current one that you have or start from scratch. Fill out the paperwork, put that in the MLS. And then after it goes into the MLS, what are the things that you're going to do to get it out to as many people as possible? Are you going to hire a stager? Are you going to hire a photographer? Are you going to do those things yourself? Are you going to do the marketing yourself? Or are you going to hire somebody to do that for you so you don't have to worry about it? What is in your checklist? All right, so again, I've talked about some non-negotiables, but I want to mention them one more time. You have to have a plan. If you don't have a checklist, most of you do, so I'm not picking on you, I'm picking on those people who said no, you have to do your checklist today or this month or before you get your new listing. And I want you to take awesome pictures every single time. And whether that means you're going to take them or you hire somebody, I know agents who, take pictures, take decent pictures, and those gorgeous pictures, edit them or whatever themselves up to a certain price point. And then after, that certain price point, then they hire, a professional photographer. I know somebody who hires a professional photographer no matter what price it is. So whatever that looks like to you, I'm not forcing you or telling you to hire a photographer. I'm just telling you that every listing needs to have awesome pictures every single time, no matter if it's 50,000 or 150,000, whatever that looks like, make sure that it is, fitting with that strategy. Okay. So the other non-negotiable, sorry, I thought my screen was frozen there for a second. Let me know hopefully you guys can see my slides. I think you guys can. Let me know, just somebody type in the chat box that yes, you can see my slides. I actually have it pulled up on 2 computers right now so I can see what you guys see. Okay, perfect. You guys can. Awesome. And it was kind of acting up there for me for a second. So have a plan, take awesome pictures, and then another non-negotiable is to be consistent. So you've got to be consistent on anything that you do. So if you set the plan to, do certain marketing on certain price points, then that's what you're going to do and be consistent about it. I know some agents, for them, that means they market everything the same. It's just their luxury homes have a different flyer or something like that. So whatever that looks like, have a plan, awesome pictures, and be consistent. That's easy, right? That's pretty easy to accomplish for any agent. The pictures might be the most difficult part. If you need to, I'm not saying go buy a camera, and I'm not saying hire somebody. I'm just saying make sure it looks awesome on every listing. Okay, so we've covered 4 out of the 8 pillars that we're going to cover, and I want to talk about reviews. Online reviews, and this could be offline, online, however you want to do this, but I want to touch base on this today because I feel like it kind of flows us in that direction anyways. Okay, there we go. Turn some volumes down for a sec. Okay, so here are some facts about reviews. And if you don't know this already, I actually presented this on a previous webinar. We did a whole hour about just on online reviews. So I could go all day on why this is important. So I took the key pieces of that webinar and I transferred them into what's going to fit into what we're talking about today. So here are some facts. 90% of Yelp users say positive reviews affect their purchases. So let's say, I do this. I just ordered something on Amazon. I can't remember what it was now, but I ordered something on Amazon. And before, it was for my nephew for Christmas. I ordered him some toys, some dinosaur toys off of Amazon. And so before I purchased them, I looked at the reviews to see if, parents liked them, if they lasted a long time, or if they broke, right after he took them out of the box. And the reviews were awesome. So then I purchased it. Have you guys done that before? I'm almost positive if you've ordered online or if you've done anything like that, then you've probably checked out the reviews in some way at some point for something before you bought it, right? So 90% seems pretty accurate. 73% of consumers say positive customer reviews make them trust a business more. So positive reviews can help others trust you more than if you didn't have reviews or if you had negative reviews. So 73%, that's a huge number. So if you haven't focused on reviews, I almost guarantee you probably need to start or probably are already going to start after this slide. I've got a few more stats. 87% of consumers say positive reviews online have reinforced their decision to purchase a product or service. And so what this means to you, since we don't really have a product to sell, we have a service. I mean, we're real estate agents. We're going to help you get your home sold for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time and under the best terms. That's our job, right? And to help guide them through that transaction. So 87% say positive reviews reinforce their decision to go with that thing. So that is also really huge. I mean, if I see that a service provider has awesome reviews and they have a lot of them, then I'm probably more likely to even consider them than if they didn't or if they had negative reviews. 67% of consumers read like 6 reviews or fewer. So to have a lot of reviews is awesome because that number, would be awesome to show that you have 40 reviews on Zillow. I know some people who have like 100 reviews on Zillow and their ratings like a 4.9 or something really high. So they'll probably go through the first 6 and just kind of see what people liked about that product or that person or their service, and then kind of move on, right? Or just that will determine if they use you or not. So all of these numbers, I mean, look at them: 90, 73, 87, 67. All of these stats were pulled from a really credible source, and I don't know why I didn't put it on this slide for you, but I mean, these stats are high. These stats are really high. It's not just like 50%, 90%. So positive reviews are very important, and just reviews in general are very important. Okay, so I have this as well from another credible source that I failed as a webinar presenter. I didn't put the source on here, but I can get you the source. I was so excited to put this on from a previous webinar because I feel like these stats are so awesome. So I'm going to point a couple out to you that are on this survey and this list. Oh, well, yeah, I do have the source: Global Trust and Advertising. Perfect. Okay, so 92% trust completely something that was recommended by somebody that they know. That's essentially a referral. So referrals, obviously we all love referrals. So how can we get more of those? That's the highest, reviews we trust. That's the highest, that's the one on top of this list. So we want referrals from people that we know. So we need our clients and our past clients, our current clients, and our business to be our advocate to get us more business. So that's what today's webinar is about, is how can we use our current business to get more business. So another one I want to point out is when somebody posts an opinion online, that is 70% trust completely what somebody posted online. Online reviews, essentially, that's what this is, right? So that's why these are so important. A couple others I want to point out to you: branded websites, 58% trust completely what something is, what somebody says on a branded website. From emails they signed up for. So if somebody signs up or is on your email list, that's trusted. 50% say they trust and what they're posting. Ads in magazines. Some people, I know some agents still, post there and showcase their listings there. Ads in newspapers are down. Ads served in search engines. So if you're doing Google ads, oops. And that's all I wanted to point out on that slide. So I want to show you referrals are the best way to, get more good business, right? And also online reviews is the second thing on this list. So if you're not showcasing and showing that people's opinion of you is good and what they think about you and all of those things, you need to be using that online in all of the key places. So let's talk about that for a second. Where can you get these online reviews, or where should they be posted online to do all of the things we've talked about so far? So where you can do this on Trulia. Trulia has its own spot of where you can have online reviews and showcase them. Zillow is the same way. Realtor.com, Yelp, LinkedIn, Google. If you've ever Googled something and a place came up and said it had 6 Google reviews or something, you can do that on Google. Angie's List, your website, and even Facebook now has started to do that. So all of these places, and probably more, I'm probably missing a few, but these are the key places I would encourage you to focus on. And why? It's because these are the top real estate sites, the top social sites, the places where people go to find service providers. Google is a place where people that's the number one search engine. So if somebody's searching and you pop up, having reviews there will just be awesome. And even your website, no matter where they're posting, you should basically have every testimonial and every review on your website somewhere. Okay, let's dive into this a little bit deeper. I have a few suggestions for you. I would get reviews on other sites first before you put them on your website. So when you ask your client to review you on somewhere, this is what I typically tell agents to do. Get them to review you on Zillow and then copy that review that they post on Zillow to Trulia, because you can't enter, like if you get, somebody to review you on paper or somewhere, maybe they emailed you or something, you can't physically post that to Zillow yourself. Zillow makes you have your client post it there. You can't do that. So I would have your client put it on Zillow and then you physically transfer it to Trulia, because you can. You can post a testimonial to Trulia on behalf of your client. I think all you have to do is post, fill in a couple of recommended things or required things like their email address and maybe a closing date. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you can physically post it there if you get it from another source. So get it on Zillow first and then put it on Trulia, and you automatically have it in 2 spots. So hopefully that gives you the start of your plan for getting reviews. After it's there in those key spots, figure out where else you want to put it. So whether it's on Yelp and you put it on Trulia, or if it's on Yelp and you put it on your website, whatever that looks like, have that system for doing that. And that's my next thing. Create that system for each closing. What do you do to get them to review you online, and where does that go? Create that system. And I want you to spread the love. So don't just focus on Zillow and that's all you focus on, because you're going to end up with 80 reviews on Zillow and 0 on Trulia. You want to spread the love on all of the key sites that you have a presence on. So if you have a presence on Zillow and Trulia, which every agent does, make sure you look amazing to other people on those key sites. Because if somebody is searching for a home, and I encourage you to do this and kind of see what your competition is, because, for somebody, you might think five reviews is like an awesome milestone, right? I have 5 reviews on Zillow and I have 5 stars. Awesome. I did a really good job. And then if you look at your competition, somebody might have 40 reviews, or I think the highest I've seen so far is like 150, which is crazy. So look at your competition, know what you're up against. And that's why we're even touching base on this today, because Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com and Yelp are places that people are using and to search for anything. They're searching for homes, or they're searching for something on Yelp, whatever that looks like, even on Google. How do you look to them? If they're finding your profile, if they stumble across it from a listing you have or just in general, how do you look like to them? If you have, awesome reviews, and the next person, below you on that list of agents has more reviews and more past sales and more, they're probably going to skip over you and go to that next agent, right? I mean, I would. If I were a consumer, I would go with the person that has, the most proven success, and I would start there. So spread the love and make sure you look amazing to people online. Another thing that I feel like is a missed opportunity is for agents to take pictures of their clients at the closing table or in front of their new home, with the sold sign, however that looks like to you. Take a picture, or even take a video testimonial if your clients are willing. If your clients don't want to be on video, that's totally fine. If you don't even want to put that in your strategy, just ignore what I just said. But take a picture or video of your client and post that online. So if pictures are part of your strategy, incorporate that however you think necessary. So video testimonials or picture testimonials, whatever that looks like, an awesome opportunity. And I want you to focus on showing everybody how much your clients love you. And I know that sounds like, well, I don't want to brag, I don't want it to be all about me. I want it to be about, I want to help people, or whatever you want to do. You need to show that you had success, have past sales, you've had past success, people like working with you, why they like working with you. You have to showcase it. And I want you to be consistent. So that system of, I'm going to list this house and I'm going to put it in the MLS and I'm going to do this checklist to list this house. And then, once it sells, I'm going to do A, B, and C after the home sells. I'm going to take a picture of my clients. I'm going to ask them to review me on Trulia, and then post that testimonial and picture on Facebook. Or maybe for you, it's I'm going to help that buyer buy a home, take a picture of them in front of their first home they've ever purchased ever, have them write me a testimonial on Zillow, and then I'm going to post that picture and that testimonial to my website. Whatever that looks like, create the system, add it to your checklist, and that will be your consistent strategy. I just did it for somebody. I just put together the strategy for you, and somebody on this webinar today is going to do exactly just that, and that's just fine. Take what I'm telling you and use it in your business. So in your current business, I want you to use it to get more. So we've talked about a lot of stuff, so let's hone it in a little bit. I want you to clean up your profiles. So wherever you are online, clean it up, kind of refresh yourself, make sure your photo looks awesome, make sure your profiles make sense, make sure they're updated, clean up your profiles. I want you to make a plan. Again, your new listing checklist, your closing checklist. What are you going to do to use your current business to get more business? A non-negotiable is showcasing your sold listings. However that looks like to you, do it. It might mean on your website. It might mean on Facebook. It might just mean posting that you sold it in 4 days. I want you to showcase that you're doing business and you're selling homes. And I want to make sure you look amazing. I want you to go and actually see what your profile looks like, how many testimonials you have everywhere. Make sure you look amazing online, because as you market your listings more and as you start to get more business, you need to make sure that exposure is actually working in your favor, right? I mean, if you don't have any testimonials, if you don't have sold listings, and I know that's awful that we're kind of at the mercy of these websites, but use them to your advantage. Use Trulia and Zillow and the features that they offer you as an agent to your advantage. So put some testimonials on there, make sure that your sold listings are there, and make sure you look amazing to anybody that would ever stumble across your profile. And then reuse your reviews. I mean, that should be an easy thing for you to do. Get it on Zillow, put it on Trulia, and then pop it on your website. Even if that's just a 3-step strategy you use it and do it for every testimonial. Is this making sense? Is it kind of clicking for you or generating some ideas for how you're going to get more reviews, how you're going to use your listings, and how that all comes together with, using your current business to get more business? So I'm going to ask you a couple more questions. And I feel like this is a huge part of this, is just asking the right questions. I want to know, do you know your stats? Do you know that you have an average of 60 days on market for your listings, or an average of 96% list to sales price? What are your stats? If you don't know them, just pull up the MLS and pull some stats, whether it be from last year or the past couple months. Pull your stats. I want you to know them. Do you use your testimonials the way that I've described? If you don't, then try to figure out how you want to, or how that fits into what you're trying to do. Also, do you showcase your sold listings? If you don't, the non-negotiable is that you have to. So figure out how that fits into what you're trying to do and do it. So let's recap. We talked about a ton today, and we're almost up time. Yep, it's exactly 3:00. So we've covered setting your goals, creating a brand, your marketing outline. We've defined and reconstructed your website features. We've chosen your social strategy, at least the basics of it. And we talked about your standout listing marketing strategy. So how are you going to stand out by marketing your listings differently and using your current biz to get more biz? So we've covered a ton, right? I mean, that's a lot of stuff. So what questions do you have for me? I want you to let me know if you want me to go over anything, if you have any questions about specifically what you are doing, if it's the right thing to do, whatever that looks like. Let me know what questions you have for me. All right, so while you're waiting on, or while I'm waiting for the questions to kind of flow in, I kind of want to ask one last question before you guys pop off the webinar and before we end this. So look at your screen. For for your listing marketing, I want to know if you like to do it yourself or if you want somebody to help you do it. If you don't want to touch it, you just want to put together the marketing strategy and then have somebody else execute it. I mean, where do you fall on that scale? Maybe some of you are down the middle or, on one end or the other. Kind of let me know what you want to do when it comes to marketing your listings. I know some agents who like to do it themselves, but I know a ton of agents who don't want to learn. They don't really, want to sit there in front of a computer. So they will come up with the checklist and, maybe their marketing assistant or a buyer's agent will commit to it, or maybe they'll hire somebody to come in and do that, or a virtual assistant or whatever. So let me know kind of what you're thinking so I kind of know where we're at. Okay, so 57% said they want somebody to help them, and 43% said they like doing it themselves. That's kind of what we see too, to be honest. We have a lot of people who come to us and just ask, for the help to put together the strategy. And then we have a lot of people who, just say, let's put together the strategy and then you guys do it, or whatever that looks like. So yeah, that's interesting to see what you guys are doing. Okay, so I have a couple of questions. Oh, thanks, Al. Al said your knowledge and guidance is amazing. Good. I'm so glad because you know what? I'll be honest with you. It was kind of a struggle to plan it out like this so that it's something that you guys can follow, because there is so much that you guys can do. And I feel like these are just the core pieces that you can manipulate into what works for your business. So I'm so glad that this is working. Awesome. Thanks, Al. Okay, yes, Connie, yes, I can go over. She wanted me to repeat how part of the contest that we're running is to complete a task every webinar. So I'll go over that absolutely on how to tag us in your post. Oh, perfect. Oh, so Norma was saying, I think you were mentioning about the testimonials or maybe the sold listings. She said she heard leaders from Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com speak about this exact same thing. Were you talking about the sold listings or the testimonials? But either way, that's actually a new feature that both of those sites have added. Actually, if you haven't uploaded your sold listings to Zillow, there is still a spot under the profile where you can upload an Excel spreadsheet of all the sold listings you have. So you don't have to individually add every single one. You can actually upload a spreadsheet to it and it will just pop them all in there. So if you haven't done that yet, it is part of your profile for a limited time where they'll let you populate all of them, which is awesome. All right, let me kind of scroll through there. We're getting a lot of good feedback. A lot of people saying good presentation, that the information is awesome. I'm so glad you guys are Yeah, yeah. I'm so glad that you guys are getting something out of this. Al had a good point. I like that you said this. I'm going to share this with everybody if you don't mind. He said in his listing presentation, he asks them up front what they want me to highlight. That they're proud of. So I think what you're saying is, if they're really proud of that updated kitchen or something, that's something that they want to highlight. And absolutely, you can kind of get that feedback from them. I think that's a great idea. You can get that feedback from them so you can use that in your presentation. Absolutely. Yes, I think that's great. And yes, I'll be happy to sell your house, Al. My license isn't active anymore, but I'll activate it just to sell your home. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And Connie, yes, I will come list your home too. Okay, yes. So let's go. There's a couple more questions, but before everybody kind of gets off the webinar, let me kind of revisit how to do that. Okay, so on Facebook, let me go to mine really quick. Okay, so what I did here is to enter the contest, the third thing and part of what we're going to do in this webinar is you can either post a picture or you can actually just post an update. So you can post a status update or post a picture, but this is how you're going to tag us. So if I'm just posting a status update, all I have to do is write something, but in that sentence, just type the @ sign and then start typing your biz tank. And do you see how it populates right here? All I have to do is click on that and it will tag us here. So as soon as you click post, I'll know that you tagged us in your post. If you want, there's another way to do this. So if you're posting a picture, and this was right before the webinar, you can actually tag the photo. So click on the picture and then you can click tag. And it won't let me do this because I've already tagged. You see how it says tags your BizTank? I've already tagged your BizTank, but you can just start typing your BizTank and it should come up, but it's not for me since it's a duplicate tag. So you can absolutely tag us that way as well. So hopefully that makes sense. So again, at the end of, okay, good. Thanks, Norma, for answering that about testimonials on Truly and Zillow. Sorry, I'm all over the place. I'm trying to manage the questions and comments and also explain this too. But yes, there's a contest going on at the end of this 4-part series. You know, I'll distribute some things to you guys who are participating and engaging with us there. So, what questions do you have for me? Let me know. You know what questions you have. You can email me. You can, ask them on next week if you think about it. But what I want to do is also let you know that I'm going to have a recording for this webinar and last week's webinar. Again, I had some technical difficulties that we'll fix, and I'll get both of the recordings out to you guys ASAP so that you can listen to them or start over if you missed a session or part of it. And by next week, all the dots are going to kind of come together. So we have 3 more things to talk about. And we're going to talk about all 3 next week. And it's all going to fit together. It's just going to pop and you're going to think, wow, that just really, comes full circle. So we've got about half done right now. Actually, about 3/4 of your marketing strategy done. Let's bring the full circle around next week, and you guys will be able to rock this year and be able to really figure out, what is working, what's not, what you need to do to change what you're doing or keep what you're doing to get more business. That is the underlying goal, is to, figure out a system that's plug and play that will get you more web traffic, get you more online exposure, and get you more business. Those are the 3 goals that we have in general, and we're trying to reach our sphere. We're trying to get new business. All of those things will be covered in this strategy that we're creating. So perfect. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for your questions and being engaging with me. I love it. I love to see, where you're tuning in from, that this is effective, that you guys are getting something out of this webinar today and connecting with you. So thank you so much for those of you who participated and for everybody that came on this webinar and stayed through. I mean, we have a ton of people on this webinar. I'm pretty sure we've had a packed house this entire time. Every time I look over, the number is just explosive. So thank you so much for everything, and I will see you guys next week. And yes, Al, I saw that you missed week 1. Yes, I will get that to you as well. We'll send you all 3 recordings in the next email that you get from me before we start next week. So thank you guys. I will see you next week. Have a great week.